Do you know what I watch you do more than anything else? You count. Not out loud and not on paper, but in your head while your hands are busy with something else entirely. You are doing it in this moment, under the sound of my voice. Running a total, setting one number against another and waiting to see which one wins. I have watched this closely for a while, and not with disappointment, with attention. You count what came in and you count what went out. You count who answered you and who went quiet. You count how many days this week you had anything left over by the end of them. And then you count them over again later, hoping the second pass comes out kinder than the first one did. It never does. It is the same total it was before. You put the phone down, you pick it up again, and you look at the same figure in the same place as though looking twice could move it. That is not a flaw in you. That is what any person does while carrying something they cannot tell the weight of. Here's the part you have not seen. The number you keep checking is not the number I have been changing. You have been waiting for me to add something to you. More strength, more room, more money at the end of it. More people who stay when things get hard. More certainty about the one thing you cannot seem to decide. You have stood in front of your own life with your hands open, waiting for something to be placed into them, and you have read the empty hands as silence. They are not silence. Let me show you a bowl instead. Flour in it, and water, and nothing else that anyone would find impressive. A bowl like that has a weight you could measure. You could set it on a scale and write the number down on paper. Then someone works one small thing into it. Something so small you would lose it between two fingers, and the bowl gets covered and left alone in a warm corner of the room. Later, that same bowl is twice the size, so weigh it again. This is the place where people stop and go quiet, because it weighs exactly what it weighed before. Not one grain more, nothing came in. Nobody poured anything into it while it sat there. The flour is the same flour and the water is the same water, and the total on that scale did not move at all. But it is not the same bowl anymore. It holds twice what it held. That is the thing you have not been counting, not what arrived. What this same life of yours can carry now that it could not carry before. You have been auditing your supply while I have been changing your capacity, and those two do not look anything alike from where you are sitting. One of them will never show up in a total. I am saying this early, before anything else, because otherwise you will keep running that count quietly under everything I tell you. So let me be plain about it. Nothing is being added to your pile. I am not building your pile. There is no delivery on its way that will make the number come out different the next time you check it. What is happening is quieter than that. Stranger than that. Much harder to see. Something is being worked into you, not laid on top of you. Into. And it does not increase you by any measure you own. It changes what you are able to hold. You will not find it if you go looking for it, and there is nothing you could carry out of yourself and show to somebody as the new thing that came. It has already gone under the surface. It is already mixed in past the point where anyone could separate it out again. And when something heavy is set down on you, the kind of thing that would have taken you apart a while back, the weight will sit there, and you will hold it. You will not understand why. I will understand why. So let me tell you what I have seen about that count of yours, and about the bowl. There's a figure in your head. You did not sit down and choose it. It arrived somewhere along the way. It settled in quietly. And now it runs almost everything you decide. It is the amount that would be enough. Enough money that you could stop doing arithmetic at the counter. Enough energy to get through a day and still have something left over for the people waiting at the end of it. Enough people who would actually come if you called them. Enough certainty to move without second-guessing every step. You hold a number for each of those. You have never written one of them down, and every day gets scored against them. That is the count nobody else has seen, not the visible one, the one underneath it. You run the subtraction constantly, in the small gaps between other things, in the pockets of the day that anyone watching you would call rest. Standing in a doorway with your hand still on the frame, waiting for water to boil. In the 2 seconds after somebody asks how you're doing, and before you say the word fine. Both figures come up in those 2 seconds, and the gap between them gets scored again, and again. The answer comes back the same. Short. Always short by something. Never short by so much that you could give up honestly and stop trying. Just short enough to keep you reaching. And here is what that count has quietly done to you. It told you what my answer is supposed to look like. You decided something without noticing you decided it. If I were working, the distance would be closing. That would be the proof. Less space between what you have and what enough requires. A number finally moving the right way. So every day the distance holds steady. You file it under silence. You add it to a second count. That one you keep even more privately than the first. The count of prayers that went out and came back with nothing in their hands. That number has never once left your mouth. You have not said it to anyone who loves you. You have not said it in any room where somebody could hear it. Spoken out loud, it turns into an accusation, and you would rather carry it than aim it at me. So you keep it somewhere it cannot be answered. I heard it anyway, every single time you ran it, and I am not going to correct you for keeping it. Anyone carrying more than they can carry starts doing math on it. That is not weakness, it is not unbelief. That is a mind feeling around in the dark for the edge of a load, trying to find out where the thing ends. But listen to what you are actually measuring. You are measuring the pile. How much sits in it, how fast it fills, how far it still has to go before you can breathe. Nearly every question you have brought me has been a question about the size of the pile, and I have not been touching the pile, not because I am holding out on you, not because you asked in the wrong words, not because there is some condition you failed to meet before I would agree to move. I have left the pile alone for one reason, and it is not any of the reasons you have been assuming about yourself in the quiet. The pile is not where your trouble lives. You think you are short of supply. You are not short of supply. You have come to the edge of what your life, shaped the way it is shaped, is able to hold. Those two feel identical from the inside. They are not the same thing. Which one it is decides everything that happens next. More poured into a container that cannot hold it does not help anybody. It spills. You have felt that too. Something good did arrive once, and you could not enjoy any of it, because you were already bracing for what it was going to cost you afterward. The good thing was real. You had nowhere in you to put it. So no, I did not send more. I sent something else entirely. It went in so quietly that you have been standing over the bowl this whole time without seeing it happen. Every request you have ever brought me has one word hidden inside it. You have never noticed the word, because it sits in all of them. The word is more. Give me more of what I already have. That is the shape of nearly every prayer that leaves a human mouth, and it is not a bad prayer. It is the honest prayer of somebody who has reached the end of their own supply and knows it. You have asked for more help when the work would not fit into the day. You have asked for more patience with a person who wears you down to nothing. You have asked for more words in the moment you had to explain yourself and nothing came out right. You have asked for more of whatever would make this stop feeling impossible. And you have never once asked me for a different frame. Not because you are stubborn, because nobody asks for that. You do not have language for that request. People do not ask to be enlarged. People ask to be relieved, and I have never held that against you, not for 1 second of it. Relief and capacity feel like the same rescue when you are underneath something heavy. They are not the same rescue at all. Here is what would have happened if I had done it your way. Take the hardest stretch you have been through, the one you do not describe to people because describing it makes it sound smaller than it was. Now picture me doubling everything you had in your hands on that exact day. Twice the resources, twice the help, twice the room to move. You would have thanked me, you would have meant it, and then you would have gone down anyway. Not because the gift was cheap, because what was breaking you was never the shortage on its own. It was that the shortage arrived when you were already standing at the outer edge of what you could hold, and anything set on top of that edge, good or bad, pushes the same direction. You know this is true. Something you wanted did arrive once. It came with weight attached that you did not see in the picture beforehand. More to manage, more that could now be lost, more people depending on you holding steady. I saw you carry it. I also saw what it cost. So I answered a question you did not ask. Not how much you have, how much you can take in without tearing. I want you to do something small right now. Nothing anyone would see if they walked into the room. There is one word I want sitting in your mind. Not spoken out loud, not prayed, not explained, not turned into a request. Just let the word be there for a moment, silently, the way you would hold something without gripping it. Room. That is the word. Say it again inside yourself quietly and notice how thin it sounds. It sounds like nothing. It sounds like the least impressive thing a person could be given, and that is exactly why you have never asked for it. Room is not empty space. Do not hear it that way. Room is what a thing is able to take in without splitting apart. A vessel with no room is not a vessel that is empty. It is a vessel that is already full and cannot receive one more drop of anything, good or bad, without losing what it already holds. You have been asking me to fill you. I have been making you able to receive. Those two sound close enough to be confused, and they run in opposite directions. One ends in spilling, the other ends in holding. And here's the part that will bother you at first, so I am going to say it before you say it. Capacity does not feel like a gift while it is being made. It has no ceremony. Nothing arrives at the door. No moment comes where you can say, there, that was it. That was the answer landing. It happens under the surface, in the material you already are, out of sight even from you. There is a short story I told once about exactly this. It is one sentence long. Almost everyone who hears it hears only the loud half of it, and the quiet half is where the whole thing actually turns. Here is the whole story, the way I gave it. Luke chapter 13, verse 21. It is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. That is all of it. One sentence. A woman, a handful of leaven, and enough meal to feed a great many people. Leaven is a small living thing you work down into dough. You could hold the entire amount in your palm and still close your fingers over it. Set beside 3 measures of meal, it is nearly nothing. If it fell on the floor, you might not bother to pick it up. Most people who hear this hear one thing: small becomes large. The tiny thing spreads until it fills everything in the bowl. That is the loud half of the sentence, and it is true, and it is not where I want you standing. Look at the verb. She hid it. Not sprinkled, not laid across the surface where the eye could follow it. Not set on top, where anyone walking past could look in and say that something had been added here. She pushed it down into the middle of the meal, under her hands, into the place where it could no longer be seen or lifted back out. She hid it on purpose. That is not carelessness. That is the method. Now count what went into the bowl. 3 measures of meal before, 3 measures after, not 4, not 5. Leaven does not become meal. It never turns into flour. Weigh that finished dough against what she started with, and you will come out at almost exactly the same weight, minus a little water gone into the air. Nothing was added. Say that slowly, because it is the sentence your whole life has been arguing with. Nothing was added. The bowl she uncovered later held the same amount of meal she put in. So what did the leaven do? It changed what the meal could hold. That is all leaven has ever done. It brings no substance of its own. It works through the substance already sitting there and quietly rearranges it, until the same flour that lay flat and dense in the bottom of the bowl becomes able to take in air and keep it without collapsing. That is the entire wonder inside that one sentence. Not addition, capacity. And this is why you have not been able to find any evidence of me. When the dough has finished rising, go looking for the leaven. Take the bowl apart. Sift all of it. Try to separate out the piece that was put in and hold it up and say, "There. That is the thing that came from outside." You cannot do it. There is no piece left to find. It has become impossible to tell apart from what it changed. You have been searching for the piece, something you could point at, a door that swung open, a number that jumped, a moment with a date attached that you could show somebody as proof I had been in the room with you. You have gone through your own life the way you would sift flour looking for a lost ring. You came up with nothing between your fingers, and from that, nothing, you concluded that nothing had gone in. I understand the conclusion. It is still wrong. You could not find it because of how it entered. It was hidden. It went under. It has been working through material you cannot inspect from where you are standing, in the part of you that no mirror shows and no total ever records. And read how the sentence ends, because it does not stop halfway. Till the whole was leavened, not the top layer, not the parts that were easy to reach, the whole of it. There is no section of you fenced off as too far gone to be worked through. Nothing in you was skipped. Whatever the leaven reached, it finished. You wanted addition. You got the other thing instead. You have been reading the absence of addition as my absence. Addition was not the plan for you. It was not what I came in carrying. There is something else in that bowl worth knowing. It explains why none of this has felt like anything. The dough has no idea it is rising. There is no moment under that cloth where the meal notices what is happening to it. No sensation arrives. No signal goes off. It is flour and water at the start and flour and water at the end. And at no point in between does it feel itself becoming able to hold what it could not hold before. The change is real. The change is total. And it is completely unavailable to the thing being changed. So stop asking the dough to report on the rising. That is what you have been doing. You have been checking your own feelings for confirmation. They came back flat, tired, unremarkable. You filed that as your answer. You made your own interior the instrument, and it is the one instrument that cannot read this. Somebody else sees it first. Whoever lifts the cloth. And people have already been lifting the cloth around you. You filed those moments under nothing. Somebody brought you a thing they had not told another living person. They did not do that at random. They looked around at everyone available. They chose the one they believed could hold it without dropping it. They chose you. Somebody handed you the decision that nobody else in the room was willing to make, and they handed it over without ever explaining why they picked you for it. Somebody sat down beside you when there were other chairs open. Somebody came back a second time after the first conversation. People only do that when the first one held. You read all of it as ordinary. It was not ordinary. Those were readings taken off you. The people taking them do not know they are taking them. And what they read is the exact thing you cannot see from inside the bowl. Now hear the part I do not want you to misunderstand. You are not being turned into somebody else. Nothing was swapped out for a better model while you were not looking. The same history is behind you, the same name, the same faults you have apologized for more than once. The bowl is the bowl. This is not a replacement. It is your own material, worked all the way through. That matters more than you think. You have been quietly waiting to become a different person before you would let yourself believe anything had changed, waiting for a version of you that finally has it together. That version is not coming. You do not need it. The one holding steady is you, as you are, with everything still unresolved and the count still short. and you will not feel the difference while it happens. You will notice it sideways. Later, almost by accident, something will land on you that used to end your whole day. You will handle it. Then a long stretch will pass before it even occurs to you that you handled it. That is the only way this ever gets noticed. Not as a feeling, as a thing you did without needing to brace first. You have already had a few of those, and each one slid past without a word from you, filed away under nothing worth mentioning to anybody. The time you did not come apart. The conversation you stayed inside when everything in you wanted to walk out of that room. Somebody said the thing that used to take a week out of you. It landed. It hurt. You still had the rest of the day. You gave yourself no credit for any of it. You called it luck. You decided the thing must have been smaller than it looked. It was not smaller. You were larger. Look at what your life is already carrying, exactly as it stands, without any announcement, without one word of thanks from you or from anybody else. Not what came into it, what stays standing inside it now. Something genuinely bad arrives. It still hits you. I will not describe you as somebody who has stopped feeling things, because that would be a lie and it would insult everything you have been through. It hits. It just no longer brings the whole structure down with it. There used to be a point where the floor under you gave way. That point sits further out now than it did, and you never moved it, and you never felt it move. You can sit with a person who is falling apart and not need them to stop. Most people cannot do that. You can hear what somebody needs without instantly running the numbers on whether you can afford to care. You can be told no and still be there afterward. You can pray without demanding an answer as the price of the prayer. That one took the longest. You used to come to me the way you come to a counter, with a list in your hand, waiting to hear whether it would be honored. Some of the time now, you come with nothing at all. You have no name for what that is. I do. That is room. Understand? I am not telling you the load got lighter. It did not. Nothing has been set into your hands that was not already there, and I will not dress that up to make this easier on you. The bills are the bills. The person who is difficult is still difficult. The thing that has not resolved has not resolved. What changed is where you break. You go under later than you used to, and some days now you do not go under at all. Do something with me here. Close your eyes if you can where you are and take one breath the whole way in. Do not make it deep. Do not make it mean anything. Just let it be slower than the last one and let it back out without hurrying it along. Now notice what happened. Nothing was added to you. Nobody delivered anything. The air you took in weighs almost nothing, and it belongs to everyone alive, and it cost you nothing at all. No one could count it. It will never appear on any total you keep. And something in you opened that was closed a moment before. That is exactly what happens in the bowl. The dough does not rise because more flour got poured in. It rises because it can finally hold air. Something weightless, something free, something that was already all around it the entire time it lay flat and dense and could not take in one bit of it. I have been all around you that whole time. My presence was never the missing piece. The question was whether there was room in you to hold any of it. That is the part that has been worked on, out of sight, in material you have no way to inspect. So here is what you actually have. It is not the answer you asked for. You are not being kept waiting. You are being made able to stand in a room with me without a list in your hand, able to take something in without bracing first for what it will cost, able to be loved without needing to show what you produced. That capacity is the answer. It came in hidden. It is not coming back out. And you will keep the count for a while yet. I know that. Old habits do not lift off a person the moment they are explained. You will catch yourself running the total again, standing in some line somewhere, looking at nothing. When you do, let it run. Then set it down. The number is accurate. It is simply measuring the wrong bowl. Let this slow down now. You came into this counting. You will probably walk back out still counting a little, and that is all right with me. I am not asking you to throw the number away. I am asking you to know what it measures. It measures supply. It has never once measured you. There is no announcement coming to finish this off. No moment where the thing you have wanted lands with a sound and everybody in your life finally sees what was going on. That kind of ending would be easier to tell people about. It would also be smaller than what you actually have. What you have went in quietly, under the surface, into the part of you that does not photograph. And you can stop answering fine. Not to everyone, to me. You do not have to show up here composed, with the hard parts already tidied up and explained. I have heard the number. Saying it out loud does not lower you in my sight by 1 inch. If you carry one thing out of this, carry this. The absence of increase is not the absence of me. Those two have looked identical to you, and they have never been the same thing. And you have spent a long stretch grieving over a total, when the change was happening somewhere the total could not reach. Small is not the same as nothing. Hold on to that when you go back into your day. The thing that changed that entire bowl could have been lost between 2 fingers. It looked like almost nothing, right up until the cloth had to be lifted higher than it was before. You will not be able to point at it, and you are not required to. I have never asked you to verify me as the price of your rest. Here is the last of it, and it is the simplest thing I have said. You are not being held in a waiting room. Nothing is being kept back from you as a test of whether you can stay faithful long enough to earn it. That is not who I am, and it has never been how I work. You were being enlarged from the inside. That is what was happening through the whole stretch you called silence. Your own life, unchanged in every part you can inventory, down to the unfinished list you will pick back up in a few minutes. And underneath all of it, without one word of announcement, more room than there was. The work in you is still going, and it does not stop at the parts you would have chosen for it. So rest as much as you are able to. Not because anything got settled, because you are held by someone who does not need your count to come out right before he stays. Amen. There is a small group of people walking this same road side by side, and they would know your name in it before you said anything about yourself. Not for anything you finished, because you are one of them. The way in is small. You say that you are here. You do not have to arrive holding anything, only yourself, and the count exactly as short as it is.